Thank you so much, sir, and thank you, Team BioClues. I would like to start the presentation with a short introduction of all the speakers, just a small insight. So today we will have this talk with Sandeep sir. Sandeep sir, who will talk about overall to maintain and strengthen your preparation regarding this exams. And one minute. And next, Indani, she will talk. What you need to do after the exam, post exam, and how to approach the institute, how to approach the interviews, that insight. And the Kesh Kumar, he will talk about the uh, how to approach a self study or a coaching, or what are the materials. So these things. And the last one I am, so I'm going to start this. So my focus is like what are the opportunity for PhD with and without JRF, comma entrance exams, and the approach, pros and cons, and what are the other options. So as I told, I have also qualified around 16 national level exam, including 7 JRF, 4 times CSIR JRF, 2 time ICMR, and 1 time DBT and GATE and others exam. So with this experience, I'm just going to start this talk. So, fellowship which need to target. So, after MSc or even during MSc, you have a mindset that whether you want to go in research field or in some other field. But if you want to go in research field, there are certain fellows which you need to target. Most of them you might aware out, but few are there. Sometimes you are not aware out of them. So the CSIR UGC net, this is the most common one and most like highest targeted one. UGC NET JRF exam, so there is like kind of confusion, like if you belong to life science or biotechnology or zoology, botany, whatever, like allied to life science. So whether you can appear in this exam or not, but in any case, if you belong to or in this life science field, whether it's biotechnology or microbiology, anything, you are eligible in environmental science or forensic science. So from these exams also you can get a net certificate or JRF also. Top 1% get JRF also. Uh, Fourth is here ICMR JRF, which is conducted by Indian Council of Medical Research. 100 license fellowships are there, and DBT JRF is also there. So CSIR, UGC NET, UGC NET, ICMR JRF, DBT JRF. These four are the fellowship exams. There is one exam ICR NET. So there are different subject depend on your MSc background. You can target this exam. This exam not only provide the net, there is a opportunity for getting scientist position even after MSc also. So this is conducted by ASRB, Agriculture Scientist Recruitment Board, and for ARS, Agriculture Research Scientist. And one another thing, that the net, whether you get from CSIR or ICR or UGC, all net are equivalent. Apart from these, the gate is there, which is play an important role in IITs, ISER, and NITs. There is certain other fellowship which is on a different aspect. One is ICPR. So suppose that if you are registered in PhD and you don't have any fellowship, or you have started your PhD within 2 year, or your fellowship is finished, time is over. In that condition, this is the council which provide the fellowship by submitting one PPT kind of project. ICMR SRF position is every year available. So after 2 year of your PhD, anyone can apply for this. The only limitation is that your work should be allied to life science or medical science. And Inspire Fellowship program is there, which can be availed by toppers of university, as well as if you belong to OBC and you have some good percentage in your MSc, or scheduled caste or minority. Then if you are able to qualify the CSIR exam, then DST and on this CSIR will automatically provide you the JRF certificate, so you can avail the fellowship. So there is opportunity in this one also. And apart from this, particularly for women, if any woman somehow left the research field and want to come back, then women scientist scheme A is there. And if you want to develop some kind of research environment which is beneficial to human, then woman scientist B is there. The only limitation that is age factor, that should be more than 27 years. So not only in India, in international also, if you want to go, there are lots of fellowship, but I have emphasized some common fellowship. So before fellowship, the common, you might know if you are targeting some international university, the GRE TOEFL IELTS is there. TOEFL is more commonly accepted by American institutions, while IELTS is more commonly in European countries. So, and apart from this, Indo program is there. Lots of Indo Australian, Indo German, Indo Japan, Indo US, Indo UK. Lots of Indo program is there, which you need to track that what time any Indo program form is coming. There is no certain timeline that what time form will release. Yeah, one common thing is there. It can be during January and June session. Apart from this, the most common research grant is DAG. This is for particular if you want to do the PhD in Germany, then DAG fellowship is the common. And Arthro Fallacy PhD fellowships, there are different fellowships in this fellowship. Actually, this is a fellowship program which is run by ICGEB institution, which is main branch is in Italy, Trusty, and we are lucky that among three branch of ICGEB, we have one branch in Delhi as well. So one can apply any fellowship in this program. So these are the international fellowship. And the common entrance exam apart from fellowship just to get the PhD, I have mentioned initially some most common like ISC PhD and BRC NIMANS, where you need to have JRF. But apart from these, there are lots of exam in which even if you don't have JRF, you can target. The AIMS PhD entrance exam there. Since I belong to AIMS, then I would like to emphasize first this one. So there are with or without JRF, both type of seats are there. If you have JRF, you can go for on fellowship seat, and if you don't have JRF, then project fellowship seat. BARC PhD admission test and TIFR is there, NDRI, NIPER, JNU, DU, and once you set PhD entrance, this is most of the students aren't aware about this exam. There are 9 central universities which combinedly conduct this entrance exam, and most of time, person who don't have JRF or GATE or any national exam may easily get the PhD by this exam. So those 9 university commonly conduct this exam. If you qualify, you will get interview later, and by interviewing, if you qualify, you can get PhD very easily in this one. And the exam is also easy. Easy, you can look over the syllabus. And JG Bills is conducted by mainly TIFA and NCBS combinedly. This is also a beautiful exam for lots of labs, mainly the labs which is run by DBT, Department of Biotechnology, and University of Hyderabad PhD entrance exam, since this is among top 5 university. So this is also a beautiful exam. And among these all, most of government institutions are there. One private institution is there which I really love. Thou BITS institution is also there, and VIT Vellore is there. But Simnadar University, Greater Noida, Dadri, this is like a commendable resources going on this institution, and you will get a lovely fellowship is there in JRF 50,000 and SRF 55,000, and you just need to crack the entrance of this exam and the interview. So among these all exams and fellowship, I will give an overview about CSIR exam. So most of time student ask that which unit we should cover to qualify this exam. So I would suggest not to go for certain unit, whether 8 unit or 9 unit. That is like you are wasting some important part of your syllabus, because each unit contains some important topics. So you just need to find out what are those important topics, and like if you will go for previous year question paper, you will find out that there are certain questions which have high frequency of repetition. I have mentioned in part C in CSIR you need to attempt 25 questions out of 75, and I have mentioned only 25 topics here. And I can say that these 25 question have more than 99% frequency in each exam. If you will see the previous year question paper, you will see that not even a single question paper is there where you will not find the question from enzyme kinetics, Ramachandran plot, or pedigree analysis, recombination frequency from classical genetics, or Operon model or cell cycle. So what you need to do first, target that which unit have high weightage, like cell bio, biochemistry, molecular biology, development biology. You cannot leave these units. How some units are there, like if you belong to zoology, somehow you can little ignore plant physiology, but plant hormone and pathway is very, very important. You will get at least two question each year, so you cannot ignore that. But and if you belong to botany, then animal physiology very important, because from endocrinology and human nervous system and cardiac system and menstrual cycle, like male reproductive system, female reproductive system, you will get definitely some question. So you cannot ignore those type of things. So you just have a mindset from each unit. What are the important topics like recombinant DNA technology? Very vast subject. Either if you will open Primrose gene manipulation book, that is really really vast syllabus book. But most of time, this some digestion question is there and agrovectin mediated gene transfer question is there. So two question will be there. Rest of will be shuffled question. Like you will not get the constant question. So you if even if you will cover those two things, you are done with recombinant DNA technology. Not done with the exam purpose, because further in interview purpose you need to cover, so not whole, but what are the important things like basic you need to prepare in any course. Yeah. So after this, I need to talk about the approach. So your approach can make you the pro or P. So first of all, whatever exams you are going to target, there are plenty of exams, lots of fellowships are there. So what is the exam you are going to appear? You need to check the syllabus. Most of like few exams are there, syllabus is not available, but basic life science syllabus you need to cover, like cell bio, mol bio, biochemistry. You will see in any exam these things are there. Weightage might vary. Some in some exams like RDT might be high, immuno might be high, but sometimes weightage will be low. So my friend Cass will talk about a very deep insight in this one. And apart from syllabus, best content. These things matter a lot. Most of time, what a student does, they will go this coaching institute material, this coaching institute material. Someone says, okay, read Voight and Voight. They will start and try to finish Voight and Voight. I can best you. No one can finish a complete book. So, what is the best in that? What you need to cover, that you need to look, and what is best material you need to find at your own. One book can be good for me, but not for you. So, one thing, whatever you have read previously, try to focus on that one. Like in biochemistry, Voight and Voight is good and Leininger is also good. But if you have read Leininger, if you have read Steyer, then go for that one. Even Voight and Voight 10 out of 10. But if you have read Steyer, go for Steyer. Content is almost same. The only thing you need to develop the concept. So that concept can be developed if you will be strict uh, for a particular thing. If you will try suffer like this time, okay, I started with Leninger, then Voight and Voight, then Steyer, then Harper, then you will somehow lose and you will develop the confusion. And in this exam, CSR, mainly the CSR exam, this already give lots of confusion, and if you already have the confusion in your mind, then you are going to lose. And after this previous year question paper, which play a really uh, what high role in your exam, because you have done with your syllabus, you have done with your content, you have prepared everything, but if you don't know what kind of question you are going to get in exam, then again you will somehow suffer. So previous year question paper is really helpful and mandatory to solve. So try to solve as much as previous year question paper you can solve, or what the thing you can do that, like if you have finished one unit, try to solve the question from that unit. So this should be your approach. Yeah. Now what are those don'ts, pros, cons, and strategy? So one thing is which is most common, like more than 60 to 70% student, and during exam almost I can say 100% suffer from fear. And this fear is really devastating if it is before exam. During exam, it will be there, which you can overcome by practice. But before exam, you need to cover up this fear. Like most of time, they think I'm not that much good. I belong to some state university. I belong to this background, or I haven't gone for some coaching, or I haven't gone for a good coaching. Then I cannot qualify. See, if you have capability and you have done with your syllabus really well, then you can qualify, and anyone can qualify. So you need to cover up with this fear, and how you can overcome this fear by practice. So both practice about the previous year question paper, try to attempt the mock test and the other exam, some test series. And the important thing next is time management. This is I'm not talking about that wake up early and study. That depend. Everyone have their own time and own capabilities. Someone like prefer in morning, sometime one prefer in night. So uh, this varies. The time management, like how much time you are giving to your subject. So that you can see when you have an idea. Okay, this unit have more weightage than this unit. So according to that, you can decide your time. You cannot invest most of time on immunology, which have weightage only 8 to 12 marks. But you need to invest more time on cell biology, which have more than 50 marks. So you need to see that on which unit you need to invest how much of time. And the third thing, what not to read. Most of place you can find that what are the things you can read. I have also discussed previously in one that these are the topics which is have high frequency and high repetition. So what you need to do, you need to try to find out that what are the things which is not important for your study, because first of all your goal should be to qualify the exam, second should be to get good score or thing, and this again will come by practice. And the fifth thing is don't memorize. Most of time what a student does, they try to memorize the thing. Like if I have read cell biology, I will try to memorize the thing. I will see, okay, I have remembered this thing or not. See, you just need to develop the concept. If you will try to memorize thing, your efficiency will be lower. So don't try to memorize the thing, just try to develop the concept. And now what's next? So if you will not qualify the exam, what is next? So you can go for some project position in several institution, R&D sector, some pharma companies, some teaching, or some coaching where a platform is available, whether online or offline. But ultimately, don't quit, do it. So at the end, VK's formula, my formula of success. So I have developed three laws, and which is behind by qualifying almost all the exam which is related to the life science. So first is the law of imagination. So since life science is related to us only, we can have an imagination. Imagine you are going for a movie, you will have a better imagination because you can correlate those things. So you just try to imagine the things. If you like animal physiology, if you are reading, very easily you can imagine. Like same with cell bio, same with mole bio, and all are the interdisciplinary. If you are starting with the animal physiology, then you need to go for receptor, which is in cell biology. And what is happening there, the mechanisms you will find in biochemistry. So all are interdisciplinary. You try to imagine those things, but everything you cannot imagine, then you can associate those things. And also there are, like in development biology, some gene name is there which even you cannot imagine or associate. Then the law of imagination, try to revision on a certain type, but don't try to memorize, just try to revise. So this is all from my side. Thank you so much. Now I would like to invite Kesh Kumar, and we can take the question also in the chat box later. Yeah. My pleasure, sir.
Am I audible now? Okay. So I'm highly thankful to my colleague Vikas, who has covered almost everything related to this exam. Especially, he has covered important topics and major exams of this life science branch. So in my case, I'll continue the session with the same theme, and I will cover my talk in these 6 points. The first point is like difference between 4 to 5 major life science exams in India. For example, as the theme of this talk is like tips and traps of for cracking CSAR, but we are trying to focus on 4 to 5 major exams which has almost similar kind of syllabus, although the syllabus of CSR exam is most vast and most lengthy syllabus. So the thing is like uh, every student who belongs to life science, either biotechnology, biochemistry, zoology, botany, should appear for every possible exams, especially for these 4 to 5 exams in which syllabus are almost matching with each other's. So the first point will cover the difference between these 4 to 5 exams, and the second point is few do's and don'ts. This is again somewhat similar like Vikas, in which I will explain certain things which needs to be done during exams, and certain things which are not required at all. And the third point, never ignore importance of fundamental books. Either you go with any other books, never ignore at least some fundamental books for qualifying these exams. Fourth point, in which I will explain the importance of coachings or self-studies. And in fifth point, I will cover importance of certain portions of syllabus which are having high weightage, and certain portions of syllabus which are having low weightage, as Vikas has mentioned 2 minutes back. And in sixth point, I will explain about role of test series in qualifying these exams. So by
Wait a
by
minute, Kesh. Will you please do it on full screen?
is it full screen now?
No, 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 it's not. Just go there and do it on full screen, please.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Is it
Thank you,
full screen
thank you.
now?
Yes,
Okay.
yes, yes. Thank you. Continue.
So according to my like discussion earlier, my first point belongs to 4 to 5 major exams, major license exams. So in this slide, what I like to mention is we have many exams to go ahead for PhD, as Vikas has mentioned. But by qualifying any of the exam, you will not get net certificate even after getting JRF or getting into the PhD itself. So there are only two organizations which are actually giving you net certificate, CSIR and ICAR. So it is really important to qualify these two exams. That's why I have mentioned the importance of CSIR above all these exams. And the second important point is the syllabus of this CSIR exam is so vast, which covers almost all the branches of life science. So never ever ignore the importance of this CSR exam syllabus, which actually covers almost all the exams syllabus. So one cannot focus on every exam syllabus at one time. So one should make at least one syllabus as a hallmark, and which should be done with CSR syllabus, because it's a very vast syllabus, and covers almost all branches of life science. So after covering this CSR syllabus, or during preparation of your CSIR syllabus, you will definitely realize that yes, by giving this GBT exams or ICMR exams or ICR exams, there are certain differences between these exams, and all these exams have certain patterns of questions within them, and those patterns are somehow repeated after every year. So, for example, in CSIR, this exam is going to be held like twice in a year. So you will find a pattern of questions which is actually coming in every exams. There are certain units which are coming, which are giving more questions than other units. While in other exams, importance of other units are other more important than other units. For example, in ICMR, you will find a mixture of questions. No unit will dominate in life science portions, but in ICMR exam, there will be two sections, section 1 and section 2. Section 1 will cover at least 10 to 20 questions of statistics, which will not be there in any other exam. And in DBT exam, you will find most of the questions belongs to molecular biology, immunology, cell biology. So, and in ICR exams, you will definitely get questions from botany point of view, especially biochemistry and plant physiology. So the rest other unit has lower weightage. So the importance of it, this is really very important to understand difference between these exams. So one should prepare for a whole syllabus with CSIR syllabus, and then appear for these exams by making an understanding that what is the difference between these exams, and that difference should be maintained just before these exams. Not like from very beginning we will make different strategies for every exam. We will make only one strategy for CSIR, and after completing the syllabus during other exams or just before other exams, we will cover certain more topics which are really important according to that particular exam. So in this slide, I'm just mentioning about like difference between major exams, like what is the difference between these exams and how to prepare for that during exams and before the exams. And while in second point, there are few do's and don'ts. As Vikas has mentioned about certain do's and don'ts, I'm also mentioning some more do's and don'ts. For example, in case of do's, you will find number one is like start your preparation not by reading books, directly by reading last year questions. Importance of last year questions is really high. Why? Because if you want to qualify any exam, belongs to biology, life science, mathematics, chemistry, you need to solve last year questions before, even before preparing your exams. So one should look at the questions, not even looking at the options. By looking at the questions of last 5 years or 10 years will give you definitely an idea about what this exam is going to ask you. So the importance of last year questions or solving the last year questions is really important. Even if you are unable to solve the questions, one should definitely look at the questions even before preparing for the exam. And this is true for every possible exams in India, because you will definitely find a pattern, and that pattern will give you advantage than other students during the exam. And the second thing, which is like develop interdisciplinary approach among various units of the syllabus. Now in CSIR we have a section known as section C, in which exam is asking questions about research based questions, and those research based questions are like kind of mixing between 2 or 3 units, especially molecular biology with techniques, especially plant physiology with techniques. They they have their best to trap students by by making questions in such a way so that they can combine two units by making some techniques from unit number 13, which is tools and techniques. So don't don't study like this is first unit, this is second unit, this is third unit. Even if you are reading like this, try to develop an interdisciplinary approach so that you can understand that a question can come out of 2 or 3 units in a combined manner. For example, any 2 units, animal physiology can be combined with techniques, plant physiology can also be combined with techniques, molecular biology can also be combined with techniques, immunology can combine with techniques also. So the interdisciplinary approach is really, really important, and this can only be developed after completing your syllabus at least once. This is second important point. Third important point: read one book and or one topic multiple times than reading multiple books at one time. As Vikas has mentioned, one can choose Voigt and Voigt, Stryer, Leninger for biochemistry, but one will definitely get confused after reading multiple topics from these books at one time. So never use, although all the books are really, really good, as a beginner, you can't judge these books or the importance of this book. So you should focus on at least one book according to the language of book or the content of the book, as Vikas has mentioned. Yes, select your content very well before preparing the exam. So select one book, either Stryer, Leninger, Voigt, whichever you will prefer. Just select one book and complete that book, understand that book, and then only you can switch over other books, which is actually not required at all. Which is not required at all. Just complete one book and solve the questions after the questions those are given after the chapter from multiple books. That can be a good approach, but don't read the similar things, similar topic from multiple books, even without completing syllabus once. So don't increase your burden by collecting so many books or so many material with you from internet or from YouTube. Try to focus on your resources, which you have already decided that yes, I will focus on this book for this particular unit. And certain things those are like, never do that. Like don't do this. For example, don't consider any exam or interview very difficult than your thought process. For example, in this case, as Vikas has mentioned, develop imagination kind of things. So any interview or any exam or any tough questions will not be out of your syllabus, first of all. So never thought or never think that yes, this question or this exam or this interview, if this belongs to IISc, the interview will be very, very tough. No. If you have covered the syllabus very well, you have solved the questions, you can approach the interview, you can solve the questions of interviewer easily. There is no point in feeling like something is difficult or not difficult. You may get the answer at that particular time or not, or after the interview, you will get the answer by your own. But nothing is difficult once you have covered the syllabus of at least such an exam like CSIR. Second thing, don't read multiple books for one subject. As I have just mentioned, don't make your burden by collecting n number of books at one time. And third point is, don't justify hearing habits like YouTube over reading habits. Some people nowadays, there's a new habit, like I will cover this topic, I will cover this unit by just listening or seeing the video of YouTuber. Or I'm not saying that they are not giving good content. They are definitely giving good contents. But if you are having books with you and then YouTube and then certain other materials, this is again a kind of thing in which you are creating burden for you. So complete one thing at one time, develop your concept, and then switch over to certain videos or certain other things in which anyone who's teaching you in a much better way, just to sum up your understanding or to make your understanding much better. And in third point, I will mention about never ignore the importance of fundamental books. For example, as we have suggested, importance of units. These are the units, and they have different importance in these exams. Similarly, importance of these fundamental books cannot be ignored. For example, one should start his or her preparation with NCERTs. In NCERTs are the basic books. This will cover or give you an entire idea about your syllabus. Never ignore 11th or 12th class NCERTs by reading it at least multiple times, because this will be really helping you while you will cover your syllabus by developing certain concepts those are missed during your earlier classes. So you will recall those concepts, or you will enhance your earlier understanding, and then you will land up to new books. Those are actually textbook for these exams. And in second point, I have written like, read images, legend, and look at the images very carefully while reading your textbooks. These textbooks, I have pasted few images there, and these textbooks are really, really important for this, for these exams, because these are certain fundamental books. One should definitely read these books, at least this much books, not more than these books. Other part of the syllabus can be covered with other portions, with other materials as well, but these certain important units should be covered from these books at least. One can choose other books as well, but at least choose one book. So the thing is, in second point, importance of image and the legend given below the image. Most of the time you will realize you have attempted a question in exam, and that question is directly coming from an image. You have read that concept from book, but the concept from book is actually compiled with an image. Usually what we did, like, we read the concept from a paragraph and we ignore image and the legend below the image. We never read that image legend given below the image. So always try to focus on image and the legend given below the image while reading these textbooks, because these books are really, really compiled with such a nice images and legends, which will definitely give you advantage over other students. You will definitely feel like this question is directly coming from legend, this question is directly coming from image directly, and images will give you a visual idea about the concept even while solving the question in exam or during your test series. So must go through the images and the legend of the images. And the third point is conceptual and experimental videos attached with the books. There are certain books like Watson or Gilbert. They will give you certain boxes in every chapters, and they will give you certain CDs with them, in which they have given certain experiments related to that particular unit, or certain concepts in visual manner or video manners. So they will develop your concept in much better way than other books. So never ignore those experimental videos, because in portion C, in part C, you will find experimental questions. You will find experimental questions related to these units which are already covered with that books. But you will realize, like, I have read this concept, but that experiment was not given there. But if you have gone through those experiments given in text or given in video form, or given in some boxes nearby, you will definitely be in advantage position for solving at least portion C of the exam. And in D point, must solve the questions given after every chapter. What we do usually, we read the book by being a sincere student, read the chapter or topic, and then next chapter, and then next chapter. We never focus, but we think we will solve the question from other question bank or somewhere. The question which is given after the chapter is really, really important. If you will cover those 10 or 12 questions just after reading the content of the chapter, you will definitely be in advantage position by making your understanding better than other students. So never ignore those 10 to 12 or 15 questions. Those are given after every chapter of these books. And believe me, you will realize those questions are not simple questions. If you will go and solve Leninger's questions given after every chapter, you will not be able to solve in one go. Believe me in this part. And same is true for all these exams. They have made those questions in interdisciplinary manner. So please try to solve those questions. This will give you an advantage in portion C, which will actually a deciding factor for qualifying this exam. And the fourth point is importance of coaching institute versus self-studies. So in this, I will say straightforward, like, if your master's syllabus is not matched with your CSIR syllabus, go with coaching institutes, choose a good coaching institute and join that. Straightforward questions. There is no point in losing your next 6 months and next 6 months. I will cover 6 units and I'll be able to qualify this exam. No, don't feel don't be like over smart or don't be like under smart. Join the coaching if your syllabus is not matched with the CSIR syllabus. Your master's syllabus is not matching the CSIR syllabus. Join the coaching institutes. I'm not favoring of any coaching institute, but I'm in favor of your preparation point of view. Just go to the coaching if your syllabus is not matching with CSIR syllabus. And if your syllabus is completely or somehow or almost matched with the CSIR syllabus, you have covered almost all every unit of the CSIR during your masters. You can go through. You can go with the self studies as well. You will work hard and you will definitely qualify this exam by solving the questions and understanding the pattern of these exams. And in fifth point, I will definitely discuss about certain high weightage areas of the syllabus and certain low weightage areas of the syllabus, as Vikas has also mentioned by giving some examples of certain units. Just I have made this wheel by making the by taking the all 13 units of the CSIR, in which one can easily realize that which unit is actually covering what portion of the question paper. So if one will look at the unit one, like molecular and their interaction between relevant to biology, and the second unit is cellular organization, fundamental process, third unit. Likewise, other units also, one can easily understand genetics is giving you high weightage, plant physiology is giving you high weightage, animal physiology will give you low weightage, and similarly, molecular biology, cell biology, techniques, tools and techniques will give you advantage over other. So try to understand importance of 5 to 6 units over other units, because questions from those units are short and they will definitely ask the question from these units. Don't ignore even in single topic from these units. Try to compile or cover all the topics, all the subtopics of these 4 to 5 6 units. Those are actually high weightage units of this syllabus. I'm not saying ignore others, but don't focus on others before focusing on these units. You can choose certain short materials from videos or from internet or some other books like Pathfinder or so for those units. But these major units should definitely be covered with textbooks by solving experimental questions, back questions, or previous year questions. So don't ignore these 6 or 7 major units. And the second point, I have mentioned high yielding topics in each unit of the syllabus. Vikas has given in right side of the slide certain topics. Those are actually topics. Those are not your units, not even the name of the chapters. Those topics are actually such an highlighted topics in questionnaires, in examiner's point of view. Like they will definitely ask 10 to 12 questions out of the those subtopics which was actually mentioned by Vikas. Similarly, you will find 6 to 7 subtopics in every unit which are actually high yielding topics than other topics. So try to understand or try to develop concepts for those 6 to 7 topics in very depth than other topics, because you will definitely ask because they will definitely ask question from these 6 to 7 topics out of complete unit. So understand this point that certain topics are of high yielding and certain topics are of low yielding. This is I'm talking about all the units. Units those are having high weightage, and unit those are having low weightage. And the last yes. So in sixth point, must solve the questions of every chapter after understanding the concepts. This I've already said. Must solve at least 10 years questions in unit wise manner. Like you should understand, I have compiled the chapter and then unit. So I will solve the chapter's question and then unit wise question by taking any questionnaire from market. And then after this much, one should definitely join the test series. Importance of test series is really important because this will give you an idea about your preparation. Thank you so much. I hope I have covered everything according to my experience, and I'll be happy to give answer of any questions.
Sure, sir. I hope my enter screen is visible. Yeah. Thank you, sir, for giving me this opportunity to share my on and all experiences. Basically, what Vikas and Cash has already given a detailed approach how to prepare for these exams, for this national level exams, in order to get through a research position to acquire the degree PhD. Um, on this context, I would like to just add a few points for highlighting the importance of these national level exams. So, as they've already said, like based on the exam type, CSI, NET, GATE, ICMR, DBT, JRF, you have so many fellowship exams. You have to prepare your own self in such a manner that you are well versed at each of these level exams, because each of these exams will have a different approach of asking the questions from the from the same syllabus, from the same subjects that you're going through, whether you're from biochemistry, biotechnology, zoology, botany, microbiology, molecular biology. But you have to go on through each of these concepts very well and good. Okay, and you have to give a proper time schedule to prepare yourself. So in my point of view, in my opinion, one should start preparing at the very beginning day when you are joining in any master's course. Okay, so that in that way you will develop your knowledge, you will develop your concepts, and you will develop the confidence to acquire and to solve these questions from these national level exams. Okay, and one more point which I would like to add in this topic, it is like select and you have to screen the topics. It is not like all of these exams will have equal weightage of all of these topics, whatever it is there. For just a glimpse, if you can see from CSA 2019, when I was going through the question paper, it is from human physiology, the topic. So this was one of the question that they have asked, like which one of the following is required for vitamin B12 absorption. Okay, so if you're like this, why I would like to bring upon this questions as an example, because it is like some keywords, each within the topics, within the subtopics, as discussed by my colleagues Vikas and Cash. You have to get through the the very important keywords that you can take on, and that will help you to memorize. Not the once you get that keywords in your brain, you will be able to you will be able to take it as an imagination, as a story, like, yeah, this was the one which was associated, and yeah, you can clearly get a picture. Okay, so I think Cash has also discussed about this particular thing, like what is the difference between the exams point of view, I mean each exams. So ICMR, DPT, JRF, ICMR will have more based on statistics questions, and they will have more general aptitude based questions. They will have more of logical reasoning also in the part B. And in the part B, you have very fundamental questions from life sciences. It's not very difficult to answer. It's very, I mean, simple point of view, they will ask you the questions very, but you have to remember, because ICMR JRF restrict only to 120 fellowships. Through that only you can get your PhD registration at institutes. One more point is, under ICMR JRF, it is restricted to most of the medical institutes and medical universities across India. Okay, so whatever medical universities you have, they mostly prefer ICMR JRF, that fellowship exam to clear, and you can get through and register for PhD. For DBT, apart from molecular biology, apart from biotechnology questions, you will get most of the questions which are related to industrial biotechnology also. You will have a vast questions which are arising from bioinformatics, and even nowadays they're stressing more on computational biology. I mean, if you see the question difference between past 10 years, from 2020 to 2010, you will be finding a huge difference in the type of the questions that they have asking. They have also changed the way, the perception that the questions that used to be asked in past 5 years or past 10 years. Now there is a huge level, because you have to think based on application. It is not now based on the direct questions or the concepts. Building the concepts is one thing, and then application is the other context. Okay, science is blank without imagination, application, and the concept. Okay, so you have to form a story kind of thing when you're going to apply for an exam. Because why I'm saying so, uh, when you clear a particular exam, it is not a full stop that you have to put, yeah, you will be well relaxed, okay, fine, you have got a good rank in all of these national exams, but what next after that? So applying, going through the institute is a very difficult, tough job. Okay, apart from you clear the CSR NET exams, if you clear DPT JRF, if you clear ICM or JRF, if you clear GATE also, each of these institutions, or if I'm not wrong, most of the institutions will have their individual entrance exams. Okay, they will keep an individual entrance exams, and they will scrutinize your concepts very very. You have to be very clean and clear with those concepts. Okay, you have to mostly they will ask biophysical questions. For example, here I've brought on one example here, like which technique is used to identify and locate the positions of the genes on the chromosomes, right? So identification is on the other hand, and the locating the genes is on the other hand. So fish is one of the technique that is called in short, that is called fish. Actually, it is fluorescence in situ hybridization technique that actually utilizes a probe, a colorful probe, and it will give a fluorescent signal, and it will bind to the specific region on your genes present on the chromosome number. You can identify to which position that particular probe is binding. So you can you can locate. Okay, fine, that is there, but how to identify? So for that, you have to go with sequencing, because with sequence only you will be able to identify what is the key content of your gene that is present there. Okay, so this kind of you have to be you have to play with the concepts. You have to play, football, cricket, whatever games you like, with all these concepts. Okay, it is not a full stop that you can, after clearing the exam itself, you can stay relaxed. Okay, but you have to be well versed with the concepts, and each of these institutes will take you, when you go to the interviews, they will ask you from A to Z of the life sciences. They can ask you from anywhere questions. So you have to be very confident. You don't get nervous. You have to be confident. If you are not knowing that answer, you can straight away say, "Sir, I'm not aware of this type of concepts. I may go through it and I'll respond you back." You can tell like that, and be clear what you try to explain. If you are able to explain in very simple clear words, that is more than enough. Don't go and try to show like you know English or you know that particular language. It is all based on the concepts that they have come to know. They will judge you based on that. Okay, and coming to this important test, as I think Vikas was discussing, like you get international qualifying exams, GRE 12L, where you can apply for abroad. That is an English screening test. Once you get the score, in most of the countries they will take that. But what if beyond PhD, if you want to go for postdoc, or even at the level of PhD also, uh, most of the abroad institutes, they will ask you for a research proposal, covering letter, or statement of purpose, or SOP. Okay, so this was just a few of the points that I have came to know. Very little points. These are for a basic, for defining a particular research proposal. There is title along with the name of the principal investigator, name of the co-investigators, or the organization where you're going to work, or if it is a collaborative project, you have to include that name also. Duration of the project, department involved, study background, and rationale. What is the significance of the study? Why you want to do that particular study? And then followed by the study outcome, how it will bring importance to this to the existing studies, in comparison to the existing studies, how it is important, and how it is going to be different from the other studies. Okay, how it will help your society, and what is the international national status, like are there any similar studies? If it is there, what has been performed in at international level across the globe, and what has been performed within your country? Why, what are you trying to bring up here? And then the methodology, clear methodology, timeline, budget details, and if you have performed any preliminary work based on the concept that you have proposed, you have to mention this. And this is a covering letter that I have taken when I was applying in my first year of PhD. So you can see like how I have mentioned it. So even if you get a very good institute in and across your country, don't restrict your think that okay, this is the best institute that I've got the best guide. In the beginning of the PhD level, it will be looking like that. But if you're not satisfied with the work or the research project that have been assigned to you, you can simply switch over. You can simply switch over. Okay, have the confidence, and that's all I want to conclude here. Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir. So, is it visible, everyone? Okay, sir, just a minute. I could not able to. Okay, everyone. Could not able to see my screen. Okay,
No, sir,
just a
it's not
minute.
Yes, sir,
visible.
it's not
So one
visible,
thing,
sir.
it is
Now
not
it
Yeah,
visible.
it's
Yeah,